Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner of the Rittner Floral School in Boston, Mass. It's a pleasure to welcome you into one of our classrooms today. We've got a neat little video planned for you, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. The subject that we're going to be talking about is a very, very interesting one. What we're going to be talking about today is columns of glass using water-based designing to come up with interesting effects through grouping. What do I mean by that? Well, this is a good example. We've got a column of glass here, but we've got a shorter one here. They work very, very well together. Each of these two designs would be fine on its own. In other words, you could have something like this. It's a beautiful little design. It would work very, very nicely as a table centerpiece or whatever. This design here, the longer one, would work fine on its own. But together, they work even better. We give this a fancy name. We call this modular floral art, or modular floral designing. But the concept here is by taking more than one container, glassware, putting them together, but using similar materials in both, we achieve a unity, and we can do some really, really neat things with this. This kind of designing is working very, very well to give a contemporary effect on mantels. It's working very, very well in hotel lobbies, in entry areas, in receptions, on buffet tables. It works incredibly well. And the nice thing about this is it's fairly easy to achieve, very, very quick design-wise, easy to achieve. In this particular case, let's analyze what we've got here on our design. We have, first of all, the Physocarpus diablo. It's a very, very interesting foliage. It's not a standard kind of thing. It's a little bit unusual. We have here some of our roses, of course, but in this particular case, we've got kind of an orangey colored rose. We also happen to have some berries in this design. We have some of the hypericum berries in green mixed in here and here. And then just for a little touch of interest and to make it a little wild, on this particular section, a little curly willow that's kind of interwoven into the design. It's quick, it's easy. The two sides both integrate very, very well together, and it gives a very, very interesting kind of design. Now, to give you an idea of how this thing can be used, your choices of material will impact how the thing looks. And by choosing different kinds of flowers and different kinds of products, we can come up with different looks. Here, let's move this over slightly and then bring this one in, because this is a very, very similar kind of thing. But notice that in this particular case, the look is very, very different. The look is different because we're using different colors, different materials. It gives a slightly different kind of an effect. In this particular design, we have lilies here, here, here. We also have some of our roses, both on the bottom section and on the top section. The roses that we have here are a creamy white kind of rose rather than the orange that we have in the other design. And the berries that we used in this one were the green hypericum. In this particular design, we've got black aronia, which is a very, very interesting kind of berried product, again with a totally different look. And the black aronia with the branches here actually encompasses the whole thing, taking in effect the place of the Physocarpus diablo that we used over on this one. So you notice that it's a very similar kind of construction, but a very, very different look because we're using different colors and different materials. Now, we could mix these together if we wanted to, come up with a very, very neat grouping of 4, although they are very, very different. But to kind of give you an idea on this kind of thing, we can play with it in so many different ways. When we're doing these kinds of groupings, we can play with them. And let me just move this, my viewer, so that we can focus here on this one. We can play with them where we've got one here and the other one right here, like so. So one's a little higher, one's slightly lower to the right. Or on the other hand, we could reverse it. We could play it with this over here to the right and this over here to the left. We could also play with multiple groupings. In other words, we've got 2 pieces here, but we could have 2 of these large ones here and 2 smaller ones in front, or 3 large ones in the back and 3 smaller ones in front. Or we could play with an alternating kind of rhythm where we've got tall, large, tall, large. In other words, we can play with this in many, many different ways in terms of the way we configure and place these pieces together. Again, these pieces hold up very, very nicely on their own. This is a beautiful little piece. I wouldn't mind having this in my bedroom, placed on a little stand next to my bed. It would work very, very nicely. However, when we combine it with this, then we've got something that is truly awesome because it's much bigger and therefore visually it appears a lot more important. Isn't that neat? And it's easy to do because all we're doing here is we throw in some of our branchy materials, throw in a few of this, a few of that, and voila. And all we have to do is make sure that they kind of match. Let's shift gears once again, my viewer, and give you another example of this kind of thing. And we're going to deliberately again play with a different kind of material, different kinds of materials on this, just to show you that we can come up with different effects based on the kinds of flowers and floral products that we're dealing with. In this particular case, we are dealing with a very, very pretty grouping here. And let me move this slightly to one side. A different grouping here. The materials that we're using in this, again, a little bit different than the last one. We happen to have, for our branchy kind of material, a particular product called Euonymus alatus to be exact, Euonymus alatus. It is a very, very neat berried product. And again, incidentally, these berried products, the Aronia, the Euonymus, the Physocarpus, which is not a berried product but a neat foliage, these are brought to us courtesy of the great folks of Blooming of Beloit, Wisconsin. They happen to be a farm in the middle of the country that happen to produce some amazing, amazing materials, specialty berried stuff, amazing materials to play with that really will transform your designing and give you totally different looks. Notice in this particular case, the use of the Euonymus, it gives a really, really cool effect. It's kind of wild. It branches over here, branches over there, and over here. And we've got some in this container here shooting over on this side and flowing over onto this side. There is another constant in these two designs. We're using some hydrangea. Notice the hydrangea, incredible white hydrangea here. We've got some white hydrangea here as well. We also have a little touch of green hydrangea. You never can go wrong with green. It'll mix in with just about anything. And to give a little bit, a touch of class and just a little bit of asymmetry to this to make it feel just a little different, a couple of roses snuck in. Now we could do the same thing we did in the other one, take some of these roses and poke them in here as well. In other words, we could do it for unity's sake as well. But notice this makes it feel just a little bit different. There is one other thing that's different on this particular design compared to the last two. I don't know if you notice it, my viewer. Look at it carefully, because we have come up with something a little different for your viewing enjoyment. Do you see it? Well, if you don't, let's zoom in just a little bit closer. Look at the containers. In the containers in the last two, we used pretty much cylinders. We stayed with the cylinder kind of base. In this particular one, notice that we're playing with a cylinder container over on this side, and we're playing with a bubble over on this side. The bubble gives a different kind of an effect, but it's there to prove a point. If we are using unity and a certain consistency in terms of floral material, we have the Euonymus in here, we have the Euonymus in this design, we're playing with hydrangea in this, we're playing with hydrangea in that. It gives a certain unity. We can also start to mix different kinds of glassware together, and that's exactly what we're doing here. Instead of going with all cylinders here, we deliberately chose a bubble. And in choosing the bubble, it gives a little bit of a contrast because you've got our 8-inch bubble as opposed to our cylinder kind of base, but still the thing works and works very well. Incidentally, in most of these designs, we've just been dropping the foliage in and the flowers. In this particular one, you'll notice it looks very, very complex in the infrastructure. What we've got there are some of the incredible wires, decorative wires that are put out by the folks at Smithers Oasis, and we've taken some of the decorative wires that have even some pearls built into them, dropped it into the base, and then used that as our infrastructure in placing our other materials. So there is a little bit of variation on this one, a little bit of variation done deliberately to give a slightly different effect to this design, one that you don't see in the other ones. And we've done that because we wanted our viewer, for you to see how these things can be varied. What do you think? It's pretty, isn't it, huh? Okay, Before we conclude, let's show you one more grouping, and I think that the next grouping again is going to have some variance to it. It's going to feel a little bit different than some of the things we've done before, deliberately because we want to show you how you can come up with some really interesting and neat approaches using this concept of modular designing, incorporating glassware. Give me a second, my viewer, while I pull these things up, because it does take a minute to kind of put these out. I've got one piece of glass here, a very nice cylinder here, and we've got a second cylinder here. And you may say, oh, well, that's it. That's all he's got on this. There's one, there's two, but wait, there's more. There are three in this one. I mentioned that we could start playing with combinations of large and small, and in fact, on this particular one, that's exactly what we are doing. Now, you look at these, you've got two large cylinders in the back, a smaller cylinder in the front. Again, we're using the concept of using similar materials in all of them to come up with an interesting effect. Any one of these looks nice. They're all pretty pieces, but it's the combination, the unity of the three that really works so well. I could see this working incredibly well in our entry area coming into our school here in Boston, but I can also see this working very well in a hotel lobby, possibly with one of these on one table, another set of these on a table across from it, or even using more combinations. In other words, not just three, but maybe 4 or 6, combining them together. It works so well. Now let's talk a little again about content on it. All of these have the Physocarpus Diablo in there. It's very pretty. We got the Physocarpus, and that works very nicely. They also happen to have Viburnum dentatum. Viburnum dentatum. This is a viburnum berry. It is absolutely incredible. I don't think it shows as well on the video as it actually looks in real life, but take my word for it. It's a very cute little berry. Really adds a lot of class to our designing. And then we have some roses, coral-colored roses in all of these. And then to finish it off, we do have some of our amazing, incredible hydrangea right here, here, and here. In this particular case, we're using hydrangea that has a bluish tinge to it rather than the white hydrangea that we used in the last one, just for a little bit of variety. And also, I'm not sure if you noticed it, my viewer, but we have some curly willow shooting up here and shooting up here, and also even a little piece over here, which makes this thing much taller and much larger than it otherwise would seem. It is an incredible view. It really gives a nice effect. And once again, we can play with this. We can have 2 large ones and then a small one over to one side. We could have the small one in the middle. I tend to like the small one in the middle, don't you? But there are different ways that we can configure this that will all give a very cool effect. So, my viewer, what do you think? Pretty cool, huh? The use of glassware, but not just one piece, but multiple pieces. And our treatment here is not Grandpa's use of glassware and water-based designing, not Dad's use of glassware and water-based designing. This is the 21st century, and we're using a very contemporary effect here. The concept is we're using not 1, but 2, even 3, to come up with groupings of designs using similar materials in all of them to create a unity among them, and using the concept of rhythmic flow, where we can have rhythm formed by placement of these things to come up with really cool effects. As we've gone through here today, you've noticed how they look a little different depending upon whether we're using lilies, roses, the different colors that we use. These all impact, as well as the different kinds of other assorted things like the berries and foliages that we're using to support it. These give a very rich effect. They're wonderful to incorporate into your designing. We want to thank the folks of Blooming of Beloit, Wisconsin, for making these products available to us, because some of these things are just absolutely great to play with, and you'll find that they can transform your designing as well. As we like to say here at Rittner's Floral School, anybody can do floral designing. Floral designing can be quick, easy, and fun if it's taught by people who know what they're doing in terms of teaching, and that's what we love to do here at Rittner's Floral School. On behalf of all of the staff here at Rittner's Floral School, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner, It was a pleasure having you come in to our classroom today to visit with us. We hope you enjoyed this brief presentation and got a few ideas to take home with you that you can try to use to make your life better and the lives of those around you with our beautiful media, the media of flowers. Again, we thank you for coming in and visiting with us today.